from the government, and I'm here to help.
Take a look, it's in a book.
Some members of the community use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda.
Let's watch Figure It Out.
Welcome back, everybody, to another wonderful episode. This is We Figured It Out. I'm your boy, Michael.
And I'm Matt.
And today we have Heather Leanne Blake, correct?
Yep.
Sweet. Said it all. Actually came across her with like tarot information, and I've kind of been looking for somebody like that. So I don't know, maybe our paths cross for a certain reason, you know?
Absolutely divine intervention.
Whatever you want to call it. It was in the cards, right?
Right.
Yeah, there you go. So introduce yourself first for everybody listening.
I'm Heather. I'm 38 years old. I live here in Thornton, Colorado, originally from Kansas. I'm a novice tarot reader. I wouldn't say that I'm a guru at it or anything. I'm a very spiritual person. I believe in a lot of different things. I wouldn't say I fit into one specific category. I pick and choose what I believe out of everything. I have a lot of 8 different tarot decks that I use randomly, whatever ones feel good to me at the time. I don't know.
Are you charging one right now?
I have them all out right now. They're all
Nice.
charged and ready to go.
Nice.
I have 3 beautiful children and lots of grandchildren. Yeah.
What do your children think about like the tarot?
They don't care too much for it, to be honest. I got into tarot through my sister, to be honest.
Yeah, you were saying you had like a kind of a lot of things and you just kind of picked and choose what did it start with? Were you always like because tarot's like, if you're in the church, people are telling you, don't get near that. And
so I started out, I believed in spirit, higher power, but I was very angry with them. And then my sister got into tarot and she started teaching me about it. And then I started to become more enlightened and more spiritual. And my sister believes that she is what is it? God, I blanked, of course. More of a spiritual being, more out from a different planet, so to speak.
Okay.
A Pleiadian.
A Pleiadian.
Yes.
Okay, sweet.
And I kind of, who knows where we're from.
We had a guy on here one time who he passed away, like a near-death experience, and came back, and he almost kind of like spoke on the Pleiadian and how like they were still to this day giving him like crazy number downloads and like historical information. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, like anything you wanted to know, you could ask him, and he just like knew answers. It was weird.
I had an out of body experience when I was like 11. My sister, the one I was talking about, she had got her hands on this tape of old Native American music, and me, her, my step siblings, and a few other people got in this circle, and I laid in the middle of it, and they all joined hands and put the music on, and she was meditating, and I went into a trance, and in this trance, I was flying in the sky, and I met my grandfather who passed away. And while I was up there talking with my grandfather, whom I had never met, everyone who was there saw a mist leave my body and hover above my body for like a good 30-40 minutes.
That's crazy. I believe like a lot of these stories, there's so many people that have them, but they're all like, they're profound.
They were crying and freaking out.
That's wild. Do you remember where you went? No?
I just know I was up in the clouds.
Yeah.
Like heaven. Like it was almost like heaven. but not
I
quite. Like maybe the outside of heaven. You
okay.
know,
If you go in, you're probably stuck, I would assume.
right? Like
Do you know?
the what is it called? The in between.
Yes. The author Kurt Vonnegut. Do you know who that is? He wrote "God Bless You, Doctor Kevorkian," who was like a assisted suicide. For anybody
Oh
that
yeah, yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
know who Doctor Kevorkian is, right?
Mhm.
Um, but he would have this. I don't know if this is true or not. Kurt Vonnegut's an author. Slaughterhouse Five, things like that. But
Yeah.
Animal House. He had Dr. Kevorkian kill him essentially, these near death experiences, and he would go to the pearly gates. But he said you couldn't go past because that's when you would officially die all the way. But he could go there, and he has like interviews with people through the gates, like
Oh
Shakespeare,
wow.
and yeah, it's a pretty interesting book. But yeah, I was just curious, because nobody ever seems to like go anywhere in those stories, and I don't think you
Yeah,
can.
yeah. I
But
think I was up in the clouds and it was like almost like we were sitting on a bench and like he was having coffee and we were just sitting there talking and it was just like the environment was perfect, the air was perfect, like I was happy. Like I've had a very 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 troubled life and it was just so peaceful up there.
yeah,
Like I wasn't sad, I wasn't depressed, I wasn't anything. I
yeah,
just
all
felt
that's
very
gone. And
yeah.
this is when you still believed in like a higher spiritual, but you were just
Yes,
angry at
I
it.
was just very mad at God because I was like, why, why,
Life.
why?
Yeah. Why is life life? I get it. Um, that's crazy. So do you think that like is part of why you can like read tarot now?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And
There's
I've always had a couple of entities that have attached themselves to me. There's one that's good, and there's some that are
um
not good.
Carl Jung in the tarot world. He kind of it makes sense kind of what you're elaborating on. He explains how there's archetypes in within it,
Yes,
like the same thing throughout, death or worry, those types of things that the cards are, or, like a breakup, things that fall deeply within personal people. And he kind of ties it to like a real scientific place almost with emotion and psychology that these things work because you've experienced some of those archetypes, right? You've been a
yes,
part of it. So
yeah.
I'm, I don't know who's to say, everything's weird in the world, right? I feel like you do unlock it.
Yes, and the more you unlock, the more stranger things you notice. Or like the angel numbers, the more you notice the synchronicities. And it's just or like, okay, so another odd thing that happened this last year I lost my father. And it was very
Sorry to hear
sudden.
that.
And thank you. And we weren't expecting it. Well, I went out, took a trip to Kansas to see my mom. My mom just happened to have a doctor's appointment in Hayes, Kansas, and that's where my dad lived. So I was like, boom, I'll stop by and see my dad. So I seen my dad, left, went back to my mom's. 2 days later, he died. That was a gift from God. Well, like a month later, I was back here in Thornton. Me and my fiance went out to eat, and the waitress comes up to me and she says, did you lose somebody recently? A male? I said, yes, I did. My father. And she says, well, I want you to know that he has a message for you. And he wants you to know that he is sorry. And that he wants to know if you will forgive him. And it was just, oh my God, it was so surreal.
Is that something you
And
can use tarot to communicate with?
you can, but I haven't. I haven't done that yet. I'm not ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think there is
Um,
some ethics to go along with tarot reading?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, because I was
Um,
gonna say, because there's like Miss Cleos out there that are
Yes.
Surely, like just
Yeah.
yeah.
Call me
Right?
now.
Count me now. Yeah. She said, I see it, I can hear music, and it's country music. And my dad was a diehard country cowboy. And she's like, I see the color yellow, and he's so proud of you. And just everything was just spot. There's no way she could have known these things. And I was just freaking flabbergasted.
It's almost like I wonder if it's you, right? You said you had that mist, and maybe it's like you're emanating these things to people.
I think so. I have people everywhere I go, people come up to me and talk to me and just tell me things. I'm like, I don't know you.
Yeah,
Like,
what?
or
Sometimes
they
good,
touch
sometimes bad.
me and they're like, I love your tattoos. And it's,
Yeah,
I mean, it's
that's the
great.
weird
I
one.
love it, but sometimes people get a little too close, a little
Um,
too friendly.
you also said you deal with crystals within
Yes, I
that.
do. I got him. Look at this
Do they have to go together?
one. Look at this one.
Oh wow.
Dang.
What is that? What do they call that?
This is just crystal, straight crystalline.
Okay. Okay.
They do not have to go together. You can do them separately.
Okay.
Whatever. And like you have to charge them and cleanse them every so often because they do take a lot of energy. They take a lot of hits for you and you don't even know it.
Right. I heard
Um,
like you almost need to like ask the tarot decks to only let in like good entities.
yes, because yes, that's what my mother worries about a lot is it is a doorway.
Yeah.
It absolutely is a doorway. And that's one reason I use the crystals is to keep me protected,
Yeah.
And see,
right?
can a Miss Cleo just start opening up some doors that just, like Pandora's box, you
Yeah,
know?
I mean,
yeah.
Just
And
I
I
think
think
you
that's what
can, right?
happened.
Yeah.
I think me venturing to that ethereal part when I was young and having this attachment that I have has opened up a door. So I
Yeah.
have to be very, very careful.
Right.
I've had a lot of hauntings my whole life growing up. All the houses we lived in was haunted.
Oh really?
Um, this house I have a few spirits that dwell here, and there's a one specific one I can feel its energy and it's not good. And I have to tell it, you're not welcome. Go away.
Yeah.
And it does.
Um, there's like old Gnostic texts from back in the day, very old that do claim, um, what's the word I'm trying to think? They're like trying to speak things into creation, with these older gods and deities, and they're not
Mm-hmm.
good at it, and they
Mm-hmm.
end up, screwing things up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I could see a Miss Cleo just who knows what she was unwillingly letting into the world if she was doing that
Yeah.
stuff. And and if you can't, I don't know. I don't know. It seems you need to know what you're doing with it, right? The more I was looking into it, it was like there's some, as we know, right, Matt, our boy BK Brandon Kroll, we got this guy who's big Christ follower, but he studies the occult heavily, and he's very into the knowledge of like Hermeticism and the Hermetic order and things where a lot of tarot derives its occult side from, and he speaks on that. Like the Cabal Tree of Life, where these elites practice, they use this type of symbology. What do you think about that?
I'm not too familiar with a lot of that. I do the symbolism of the tree of life. I am very drawn to that.
Okay.
I'm very drawn to Mother Earth. I pray to Mother Earth every time before I do my cards. Grounding, I'm very drawn to that. It's very helpful when I'm stressed out.
Do you
Um,
think it could be harnessed for either way?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Grounding, you can use that for anything. There's been many times where I was in a manic state of mind and I would go outside barefoot and I would just and draw energy and just the wind would just rush up like crazy and a storm would come in.
Wow.
Last year when I went to see my daughter in Kansas City, I flew there and I was stressed out like crazy. I got on the plane and it started storming, and that storm followed me all the way to Kansas City. And when I landed,
Oh, fuck.
a tornado touched. I was
Could
like,
you imagine?
shit.
You're like, yeah, what the fuck did I just do?
Yeah, my ex-husband's wife was like, what the hell? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. You're like, sorry. Maybe I shouldn't be around ex-husband and wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're pretty great.
Yeah. I just joke. I got one of those.
I got pretty lucky in that situation.
Yeah. Good.
But it's crazy. I don't pay attention to that stuff sometimes. So maybe I should.
So like everybody listening out there, we're talking about tarot, obviously, crystals, astrology. Do you dabble in that? I know it kind of is tied hand in hand. It's the same almost. Okay.
I very much am into astrology. What's your sign? I'm trying to learn about birth charts and sun placements. I don't know how to do all that, but I very much do believe in the traits of certain, like my fiance, for instance, is a Gemini, and he is very true to Gemini characteristics. And it's just crazy how some, like my ex, he's a Scorpio, and he is a true Scorpio.
Astrology always, I never understood it either, right? There's a whole lot that goes into it, like lunar phases and birth times. Yeah. But then when they hit us with like Osiphus, the 13th zodiac, right? Is that correct? Or how many are there? There was a new one they found like 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. And they were like, but it's always been here. We just didn't find it. So then it completely changed like some people's sign.
Yeah, and I'm not digging with that. You know,
that's what I was wondering. I was like, they went their whole life. Yeah.
You can't change it now after all these years.
It's if it is the energy, right? You harness however it is. Did you know tarot was started as an original game? It's just a card game, actually. Right? In 1440. But like you said, astrology, stars, all this stuff dates back a lot older. So just because they made a game out of it doesn't mean it wasn't there,
Yeah.
And I'm a Christ follower. People ask me my zodiac and I say Christ. But even he says to not look to the stars. So I think it's existed way before that, and there is, to me, it gives credence. I'm not trying to bash on it or anything like that. I'm saying it gives the credence to it for me, makes it real in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, something that a lot of people just assume that you do tarot, you're worshiping the devil. And that is not it at all. I just want to say, first and foremost, I always pray to Spirit, to God, to Goddess, to Mother Earth, to Grandmother Moon, to Grandfather Sun. Because in my mind, spirit and magic and all of that is not possible without God. Who do you think created it?
So you're saying it's not possible without spirituality of some sort, at least?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I mean, in the forbidden knowledge, even if no matter what anybody says, you look back at every story of that, there's forbidden knowledge passed through these spiritual beings in anything. So
yeah,
I get that. Unless it's, there are some places where the forbidden knowledge isn't supposed to be given out and bad, but
yeah,
I don't think that's tarot when you're just trying to align your quote unquote chakras or whatever.
Yeah.
Become one with Earth.
Yeah, let me put my glass.
All right. I thought I cut you off there for a second. I was like, oh.
No. You're fine. Keep going.
After the game, though, it did get like modern popular with Jean Baptiste, right? And he was the first that was like, it's ancient knowledge with divination. Divination? How do you say that word, Matt?
Divination.
Divination.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good one. I don't know why you came to like the least English speaker of anybody, but
You've been all over the
Well,
world.
And the thing I always say is I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. And the thing that I, notice with big religion is they use fear to control their populace. And that's just something I don't get down with.
Yeah. Some of it.
And
I like to tell people, Christ didn't do that. Jesus didn't try to
Exactly.
scare anybody. Yeah.
exactly.
But Jesus
And
also didn't follow religion.
exactly. And that's Jesus is he's amazing. He died for our sins, He did that. And I'm not denying that. I'm not saying that didn't happen. But because he did that, I'm able to do this. I'm able to choose to connect with him, with God, with
Yes.
my ancestors, with whoever.
The veil was
You have
torn
to-
between the spirit world and our world.
Yes, you have to adapt and you have to change with the world because that's just, if you don't, you're stagnant and you're not getting anywhere and you're not becoming your higher, truer self,
Yes, absolutely. Do you read anything on what are they, the Emerald Tablets?
No.
Okay, that's like Tree of Life religion with Thoth or Thoth, however people want to say it. An alien is what people try to pass him off as, but
yeah.
He was a divine being, right? But he supposedly they found like emerald tablets of his that were hidden. They carry a lot of his Tree of Life information.
Something about that.
Yeah. So
And speaking of aliens,
absolutely.
you want to get over to that. What do you think about
L. Ron Hubbard.
the pyramids and the structures like that? Like, do you think the aliens had a hand in building those structures?
So that's a very good, I like that segue too, because there's a lot of like ancient symbolism derived in tarot from Egypt, right? That a lot of people can tie to with like
that's what Gentiles were.
yes, priestesses and things like that, all these
Yeah.
cards. So I personally don't believe aliens built them. I believe so like when the government sent their seer program through like Project Stargate, they
Yep.
had a man in the 80s, the very first one, view Mars, and they sent him like time of the Bible, let's go to Mars, right? Let's see creation of Earth on Mars. And it was pyramids that looked the same as ours with the same structures that they just found, like pillars underneath and boxes is what this man described, but they were guarded and built by Nephilim giants.
Oh, the Nephilim.
Yes. So I'm like, I could believe that, giants, who else would have made something massive like that?
Who else? I never thought of that possibility.
Or science, if I use my science brain, I'm like, maybe the tubes they like filled with water because there used to be a great river there right next to the pyramids and it's gone.
True.
And they could have, buoyancy could have lifted blocks with that water.
I'm so just interested on the logistics of that, dude.
Dude.
How many people do you have to just to feed that many people?
Yeah, how does it possibly work?
Like, let alone building the pyramids.
Building roads, controlling well, I mean, slaves, dog. There were a lot of Hebrews.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I don't know if there were that many, but anyway, what do you think? You think aliens built the pyramids?
The technology is just so advanced. The edges are so precise. I mean, I think it's a very good possibility.
I think they might. Let's get a little woo woo here, if we haven't already. But I think they might. What if they find like crystals under there and it was like an energy provider?
That's a very, very good possibility.
And it's kind of weird that they perfectly positioned them where they did too, right? Like they were aligned with stars, right?
Constellations. Yes.
Yes.
They aligned with some of the constellations. That's crazy.
So the Nephilim guy who saw it, he said that's what they used to. They were lined up like that because they were transportation devices,
right?
Or like tools, or anything though, not just like you could get in a flyaway. You could also put your memories in it and it would take them, or you could, cool shit. I don't know. some of these people, you know, that get interviewed that have these stories, it's like, and I believe, you know, while we're on the tarot thing, why, if the government is out here with Sears and Project Stargate and they're looking into something and they're using a source for it, why couldn't tarot find that same source, you know?
That's a good question.
Yeah. I mean, if the government believes you could look into things, I believe you do. You have to learn?
Well,
Can anybody
who
learn tarot?
say they don't have
Is
good
it a
professional
gift? That
people?
was my question. Thank you for getting into that.
Yeah.
Like, is it like a gift or is it like
I feel like
more
you were
you
gifted
can
with
learn, right?
Yeah, I think it's a gift.
it.
And who's to say they don't have people in their pocket that they're paying buku amounts of money to do it?
Yes. Yes. That's true. Like, I always thought that about Chris Angel, the magician,
Yeah.
you know, that I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, you got to pay off all these people. How is this working?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Have you guys heard anything about the Skinwalker Ranch in Utah?
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
God. I love
We did
love it.
Drewski, right?
I would love to go there, but it is so heavily guarded.
Oh, yeah. They
Um,
try to tell you it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole show on it, so
Mhm.
they can't hide it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely do believe there are like cryptids and things that are brought from other places or stuck
Other
here, you know.
dimensions.
Yeah, things like that. I don't, you know, not all necessarily bad. Like, if I
Right.
wouldn't want, if I got stuck in another dimension, I wouldn't want somebody being like, oh, look at this fucking freak monster out here.
Yeah.
Like,
I would be defensive too
yeah,
if I got sucked out of my home.
yeah, you know, like, dude, I'm just a tall guy. I want to get back. Speaking of spiritualness too, I wanted to write down, I thought this was an important note. There's, in the 18th century, Antony Coeur de Gabellion, right? Okay, he was a French clergyman. I probably butchered his name right there. He did a bunch of studying on these tarot cards, and he was one of the first, also a Freemason. So let's put that in our pocket before we take his answer
Oh.
here. Okay, French clergyman. He was the first to go on document and say that they're preserving the Book of Thoth, that they're emerald tablets and the Kabbalistic tree of life, and that the elites almost could use this as like a way of controlling the control. You know, everybody's got a theory, right? And he was the first, like, yeah, he was a clergyman who came out and was like, whoa. But then I was like, nah, you're a Freemason, bro.
Yeah.
Especially back in the church in the 18th century, you were a heavy Freemason.
I just got this new deck of cards a couple days ago from Del Toro. Does that
Can
ring
you
a
show
bell?
us some?
Yeah.
Show us some of it.
He's a horror. Oh wait, I
that's
gotta
cool.
blur it. Can you see it?
I can.
Or is it blurred out?
No, it was good when you got real close. It blurred, but it wasn't before. Yeah, scoot back a little. I don't know what it's doing.
Hold
Anyway,
on, I'll unblur it.
you said Guillermo del Toro.
Yes.
Nice. I really like his like monster
He's fucking
interpretations.
crazy. Come on.
We had a guest on one time where I hung up on her and then she hung up on us, and it got we both couldn't figure it out. We were like, what are we doing?
Oh well, I guess I don't know how to.
That's okay. While you're getting it all situated here, go to our YouTube, everybody, because she's showing decks. And these are the coolest parts. There's I found one drawn by Salvador Dali even. And I was like, that's probably a trippy tarot deck. And then the Nazis, they had their own occult deck based off of like Thoth, because yeah, you get.
I don't know if that one worked out that well, did it?
No.
Or did it? They knew that they were going to lose the whole time.
Can
They
I
said-
stop? Can I stop the video and rejoin?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send you
Okay, I'll
another
be
invite.
right back.
Okay. While she's doing all that, let me invite her again. Actually, she's probably still got the link, huh? Dude, yeah, the Nazis would fucking use them to like to what you're saying, to tell them what dates and times and where they should have their battle events. So it was like, I don't know.
Bad.
Yeah, I don't know if that worked out.
Just some French guy that's pissed off at him, giving him tarot readings that are false.
Mm-hmm. What's his name? Heimlich Himmler.
Oh
He was
yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
was the one that was like big on it, right?
Ah, so
So he,
second in charge, dude. He was,
yes,
yeah.
but I mean, Hitler was huge on it too. So while you were gone, we were talking how like Matt was saying, the Nazis would use tarot to tell them like events and dates of where they should battle, but they lost the war. So
Yeah. So this is what these ones look like from Del Toro.
oh, that's cool. It has like a real horror vibe.
Oh,
Yes, they're very
interesting.
difficult to read.
King
The
of
book,
Blades, that's cool.
yes, they're not your typical reads,
Hmm. And
but I love the feeling of them. They're
s-
like
you
super silky.
you showed cards that were like not all characters, and I didn't know that existed. There were like cups and gears. What is that stuff?
Yeah, these I don't know what they really mean yet. To be honest, let me get the book.
Yeah. I mean, and she told me she'd been practicing for a couple years, but I know there's a lot of this stuff. So
Yes, there's oh my gosh, you would not believe how many different I get
anybody
this
watching on
all
YouTube, I also have a booby woman tattooed on my arm. Wait, this arm.
the
Yes. And
I
there's
have a
Matt.
couple of sets, to be honest.
I'm cool with it. Yeah,
Where
there's
the
me.
hell is the book? Oh,
That's one
there
of the
it is.
ones you got to be special to see of Matt's.
I do have some. Watch.
Ooh.
Oh, oh.
Okay. What is this one?
Matt went over there and signed up where they don't allow you to have tattoos in certain places over in the Middle East, you know.
Oh, really?
He was one of
That's
them guys
crazy.
out of high school.
Yeah, yeah. We're all entitled to our poor choices in life.
Hey, we were speaking on war and tarot. Did you read any tarot over there in the Middle East, or did they have stuff like that? Or they're pretty
No,
like
they're
strict. Yeah,
like they would kill you.
yeah, that would freak you out.
They would kill you.
So, like,
Jesus.
the Five of Blades represents a double jeopardy, the most undesirable results, which becomes especially harmful in the presence of the Devil card or the Tower.
Whew, I thought you were gonna say gears or cups. I was like, oh, I'm glad I saw those two cards first.
I'll show you my first deck.
Yeah.
It's just this little cute little blue deck,
Okay.
classic
And
tarot.
when they say major arcana, the 22 major arcana, what is that?
Arcana. Those are like your high priestess, your hierophant, your sun, your moon. Those. The other ones are like your five of cups, your ten of cups, your pentacles, your swords.
Okay. Okay.
And then you have oracle cards like these ones. They can range from affirmations to love cards to these ones are oracle cards as well. Like this one, it says finality, farewell, closure. This one says second chances, abandonment. This card I don't use this deck I don't use a lot because it's more negative
Okay.
and this deck is more positive.
Right.
So
It depends
kind
the
of feel
outcome
the
you're going for.
energy. Yeah, feel the
Can
energy.
so like could tarot curse somebody? Like
Yeah.
this might be the crazy. Okay. I was like, could it be
Depending
like
on the
voodoo?
energy of the tarot reader and what they're putting out and what their intentions are, they could definitely push some bad shit out on somebody.
Okay.
Anybody
Um,
could.
um, that's funny. I I was telling Matt about this earlier, but there is a story about, let's see here. Let me get it back up. I pulled it up on my phone here. What did they call him? It was in the final days of World War One. Okay. That's the time period. There was a group calling themselves the Les Valeurs des Arcanes, or they were the Watchers of Arcana, is what they titled their occult group. And they stayed underneath like the catacombs. Okay.
Oh,
They were sought out. Yeah. And I was reading this, and there were disillusioned soldiers, rogue scholars, and mystics who believed the war was tearing open something more than just nations. They believed that it was shredding the veil between dimensions. And
Oh,
then, yeah, I'm just going to keep reading the rest of this article because it gets pretty crazy. Using an ancient pre-Marseille prototype tarot deck rumored to be carved on bone-thin vellum from Caligula's private oracle collection. So that's almost like what, a sigil? They're carving tarot onto
wow.
bone. Yeah.
Yeah.
They conducted an unorthodox ritual meant not to divine the future, but to force an answer from the cards. They didn't draw the cards the usual way. One by one, each member sliced their palm and smeared blood on the shuffled deck, asking the same question: what power is feeding off the war? They drew the Hanged Man reversed, whatever that means. And then followed by that, the Tower, then followed by the Devil card. The chamber pulsed with heat, their lanterns snuffed out, and then one of them, a young soldier turned medium named Etienne Duval. This is where like the historical representation comes from. This guy's writing Duval. He began convulsing and speaking in an unknown language, which they later transcribed to Phoenician. And he kept repeating, "Unfasten the bound one. The inverted king returns."
Oh, wow.
But I mean,
Right.
you're hiding in the catacombs, right? Tons of death. And then you're smearing after what you said, you know, they're not doing it right. This says like an
That's wild.
unorthodox ritual. So while you were talking about, you know, bad things could come out, I did find one, and there's a lot of
So,
them, but this
like
one
when
was
you're
really scary.
doing that kind of like, it sounds like they were almost trying to get bad things out, you
That's
know?
exactly what it
That's
said.
like they unleashed something. Absolutely.
The rest of the article finishes. The group fled, but the medium remained, Duval. His eyes rolled back, mouth twitched like a broken clock, and when they returned with help an hour later, he was gone, and they could only find the blood-soaked tarot cards. And they were cracked and burnt around the edges with the Hanged Man card. Bone was fused to stone on the floor, it said. And this part, I don't know if I believe this, but it says the face from the Hangman card changed to the Etienne guy, the Duval medium. And then it says a lot of people believe that the 1920, like they were really stricken with suicides throughout France after the war. And they said, you know, a lot of people blamed it on this and the Hanged Man coming around. And a lot of the survivors were like hunted, they think, by like the British trying to figure out what happened, you know, and like opposite occult hidden stuff. And then it says there was only one survived until the 1970s. And that's how like it came through. So
Wow. That's
I know.
crazy.
So my question is that still hanging out here? Like, do they have a time limit? Like when their card's out, are they out and they're gone? Do you have to find the card to put him back away? Like some Jumanji shit?
I would think
Dude.
so.
Do you
I would-
close?
That would be like,
How do you end your tarot?
then you have to go into the catacombs to do that?
I don't, you would probably have to have a piece of that bone.
Okay. Piece of that whalebone. How do
Yeah.
you, so like, do you have to specifically end your tarot reading like
Yeah.
like
You have
a Ouija
kind of
board?
like
You got to
with the
open and
Ouija
close,
board,
right?
you have
Okay.
to say goodbye. And
Okay.
say thank you, goodbye.
If you don't,
You're leaving the door open.
and
Absolutely.
even if you left it open for good and you step away, can something happen?
Yeah.
Like you turn your back, you know, even though you told I only want good spirits and you got all the sage burning in the world and all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
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 Okay. Okay. That's a little crazy.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever tried that? Have you ever tried to do like not necessarily anything evil, but like benefit yourself almost, you know? Or okay.
I've done seances when I
Yeah.
was a girl, young girl, but I've never done any.
I was curious if that
seances.
worked. I was like, make me rich, make my podcast
No.
famous.
No, I've always been told from a young age when you do shit like that, the consequences, the payout for it is 3 times fold. Anything you
Oh,
do
wow.
is 3 times fold.
strictly to astrology? Like
Life.
from what you've been told?
Life.
Life. Okay. Okay. I believe that.
Yeah.
I
Anything you
absolutely
do,
believe that.
it's gonna come back to you 3 times fold. It's gonna be 3 times worse.
Okay.
Death
Um,
come in threes, good things come in threes, babies come in threes. Three's just a number.
good. That is true. Do you have the magician card?
I do.
Can
And
we
every
see it?
single one of my decks.
I want to see it because Brandon Kroll's always on this one with Trump and the Antichrist and
Yeah, I was
Right.
just reading about that whole Antichrist thing and talking about that with my mother.
yeah, and his like magician, MAGA, Magi. It's all kind
Yeah,
of the
and
same number.
yeah.
I want to
Um,
know if he's doing the as
right.
above, so below on your card
Okay.
because that's trippy. And you could find the coolest deck one too. I don't care. I thought that Guillermo del Toro one was dope. That's like artwork I would have in my house.
There's no magician in that one.
Okay. That one's probably you can't make a magician and a horror one. That's pushing the boundary.
Probably not. And the magician one's all about manifesting what you want.
Nice.
And he's upside down right now.
Oh, yep, he is as above, so below. Look at that, Matt. Not colored though. Or is it red?
Yeah.
Nope. Nope. He's not colored.
That's cool.
That is cool though. With what's the infinity sign called?
The infinity sign.
Yeah. I can't.
What's the infinity sign called?
It's like, yeah, you just that's sweet. Do you have to use your tarot? Let's get into that. Do you have to like certain place, time, all that?
No.
No?
I do it whenever, wherever I want.
Okay. Okay. You don't have to like, I can only use this deck getting this answer at this time.
No. No.
Okay. Okay. Um,
It's a feel for me.
okay.
Whatever I'm feeling, if I pick up a deck and it just isn't feeling right, I don't use it.
I like that.
Like in these two decks, this stack here was two different decks, but they accidentally got mixed up and they just don't feel right separated anymore. So they
Oh,
just
okay.
decked it now. I know that sounds really weird, but
No.
um
I feel like that's how the whole thing has to work, you know?
yeah. And if I'm in a bad mood, if I'm sad, if I'm depressed, I have a lot of chronic health issues. If I'm not feeling well, I don't do it because that's when it's the most susceptible time for something to come through the door.
Okay. Um, could you I asked about like time and place and all that stuff. Does that amplify it if you did do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're in the catacombs, it can
Yeah.
definitely
Oh,
amplify.
yes.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah. If you're in the catacombs smearing blood, okay.
Absolutely. Like I like to have my crystals sometimes. Not every time. I don't have to have them every time. But if I really want to get into it and I'll put on my meditative music, light a candle, really set the mood for it.
I
if
know
want.
some people that like cleanse it with just their vape smoke even.
Oh yeah. Smoke, water.
Really?
Water's a good cleanser. Yeah.
Oh, that is pretty cool. How long does it take to like warm them up to somebody? Can they instantly like, oh man, this deck feels great in my hand and it'll instantly start hitting you with it? Or does it need to be like,
yeah.
I feel like it would have to be though, right? The things that you're doing that aren't like if they're spiritual or supernatural or whatnot, why is, I don't feel like it all should happen.
If you're playing medium in that, I guess, like, I don't know.
Do you know any mediums or witches? Does witchcraft and tarot go hand in hand, I guess is what I'm asking. Not
every person that does witch is attuned to tarot. And not everybody that does tarot is a witch.
Right. They were trying to say, back then all the witches get together and curse Donald Trump, and get everything together and all that. And like, I don't care. I'm not political like that.
I
But
very seriously doubt it.
yeah, I was
No.
thinking, I was like, I don't think witches are like bad people, you know? I don't think
No, God. I mean,
they're like nature lovers,
I
right? And
don't
like
really,
animal
I can't
people.
really say that I know any personally because I don't know anybody here. I don't have any friends. I don't really have any social people. Um, I just know that in this world there's good and there's evil. Of course, there's two sides to every coin. You can't have one without the other. Um, I think evil is getting more and more and more of a hold on this earth and these people. It's absolutely ridiculous the evil that's going on in this world today.
Do you
And a
think
lot, it's just crazy.
do you think we could all like collectively change that energy?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Positive thought, positive thinking is it's incredible what you could do just by changing your thinking.
Even if like let's get real conspiracy here, even if there is like a controlling force of
Right.
evil, you think you could a collective thought could still change that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Okay. I get that. Do you get a lot of love out of tarot? Like is that
I do. I do.
okay?
There's times when, you know, I feel alone in this world and I find comfort in my tarot.
Yeah, that's a lot of people, right, have something like that, I feel like, you know, but I feel like it's more important to have something that your energy can go into, you know, that could be a part of you or a part of what you want, you know, and then I think you get results, you know, like I think that's like, you know, when you're hacking the earth, you have to be connected to it. You know, you can't just go out there and be
Absolutely.
like, I'm going to be
You can't
rich tomorrow.
half-ass it. You can't
Yes,
half-ass
absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Aleister Crowley had a deck,
it.
you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Crowley.
yeah,
Um,
probably.
he made his own deck, and a lot of these people that I found like can channel a lot better make creating the deck.
Yeah.
Do you think what why do you think that is?
Because you dive into it and you get much more spiritual and much more real with yourself. And you learn so much more about yourself.
Okay. Okay.
And you really just got to learn who you are as a person before you put it down in a card, you know?
Yes. Have you ever heard I'm going to side tangent here for a second, man. You ever heard about his battle at Blythe? Aleister Crowley's,
A little bit.
where
Not much.
he challenged like another L. Ron Hubbard was there, right? And I can't remember, somebody else was there too. I think Jack Parsons, right? The father of NASA jet propulsion. He was there
Oh,
also, and they were meeting another like dude who claimed to be like an Aleister Crowley person, you know, a wizard, a satanic wizard, things like this. So they met and they were going to use like shooting spells, you know, they were doing all this dumb shit at each other, right? And nothing was happening. And then this other guy marched right up and just straight MMA karate kicked Crowley right in the dome. And it was like, yeah, magic's good and all, and it might ruin your life in the long run, but this black eye right now, you know?
yeah, squirt kick to the face. That'll do you.
Yeah. I thought when I read that, I was like, that's how you handle
I
it.
mean, I think he was just a bunch of show. You know, I mean, you can get into it and you can get a following and you can act all crazy, but are you really into it? Are
Yeah.
you really doing it? Or are you just doing it for show?
Mm-hmm.
Are you just being crazy to get to show off? Or are you really insane?
Yeah, a bunch of your buddies are rich right now with their own ideas, so you got to hop on something too, you know?
Yeah.
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 He speaking of aliens, right? He opened one time in like a seance or a ritual with all this stuff. He opened what he claimed was a portal for a demon called Lamb, Lam, and
Oh,
drew a picture of it, and it looks exactly like a gray alien. That's what
okay.
he drew. And it's like, are aliens demons or are demons aliens? Or are they, is everything one and the same here? And there's only us and these gray looking big head alien things?
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's what and he never closed that portal, by the way. So
Oh, that's wonderful.
maybe that's where all the aliens are. Thanks, Crowley. And then he dipped
Yeah,
out.
so
There was a clairvoyant named Pamela, and she was a member of the Hermetic Golden Dawn, and she was able to like give prophetic visions also while creating a deck. So, you know, more supernatural powers seem to happen when you create it. But
Yeah.
then again, there's stories written about them, and you know, so it's like how many stories of not famous people have visions and they're not having to create the deck as well.
yeah. You know, Winona Ryder, she made her own deck as well.
Did she really?
Yes, she did.
Is that the one that shoplifts all the time?
Yep.
Nice.
I would
See?
really like to purchase it when I get some money.
Yeah, just a real person, Winona Ryder. She's the actress in Stranger Things too, isn't she?
Yeah.
Okay, so her deck might be cool then, because Stranger Things has some like pretty trippy stuff in it, you know?
Yes, it does.
Right? The upside down. And
Yeah.
it's crazy to think about because science says that's how we really see in the world. Everything's gray and upside down, and our brain flips it.
Yeah.
So that's weird. Are we really upside down right now in real life?
Yeah. That's what they say.
We're in the upside down. I don't want to think
That's
about
crazy.
that. That'd be weird.
Right? Then you just have permanent like seasickness, you know?
Yeah, I'm like, whoa. Where do you think it's channeling from now that I've talked about all this stuff?
I don't know.
Within you? Because like you had experiences, you know, and like Matt and I have said, I think you have to be gifted in order to do this. You know, I think it comes to you or you're given it, or you know, it's within you. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
for sure.
I think even if people are like, I'm getting it from demons or angels or something, it's like you had to get there first though, right?
Yeah.
You know, to
Yeah.
open the door to the gate to the demons, you had to activate it first to get into that realm. And where's that coming from?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it comes from demons. I would hope not anyways. I hope my gift comes from the universe, spirit,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. What shape do you think the earth is?
That's a good question.
You ever ask tarot anything crazy like that?
No.
Like, what's
I haven't.
collectively going to happen to humanity in 2025?
No, I don't want to know.
Right. Okay, fair. I don't know too. Can you ask something and then get a completely different answer the next time? Have you ever done that and got the
Yes.
same answer over and over?
Yeah, what is
That
like
has
kind
been
of
happening to me lately.
Really?
I've been asking like about my disability case and stuff, and I keep getting the same answer.
Mm.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Good. Do they give you like predictive signs to watch for? Like I know some people go, oh, I keep seeing, you know, you watch a horror movie and the babushka lady or something tells you
my
danger's
card-
coming.
I haven't got that far to interpret that, but I have a couple of girls that I follow on YouTube, and they do. They show me like look for feathers, certain flowers, stuff like that. And oh my God, I was seeing the feathers, the cars, the birds. So yeah, I am at a point in my spiritual awakening. I am leveling up. So I'm seeing the synchronicities, the numbers, the feathers, all of it. And it's wild.
Do you think we need to level up? Is like
Oh, yes.
that's the goal? Is that how you
Yes.
get out of here, quote unquote?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. The more you level up, the further you're going to go.
Okay. A lot of people talk like that, you know, change your vibration or your frequency and
Yeah.
you can
Mhm.
move to the next one. I've been watching this real crazy guy, Matt, keeps coming on my TikTok of a 607 Unk. And he's like a rapper. He's claimed he's died 5 times, right? And he speaks like all this crazy stuff, you know, but it's really like this old text talking about Sophia and Barabbas or Abraxas, you know, and like these old gods, you know. So I kind of know what he's speaking of, but he gets into like vibrations, dude, and he looks crazy, right? He smokes PCP, you know, and he's a gangbanger and
goodness.
a rapper, and he look, you know, nobody wants to listen to him because he's crazy. But the things he says, you're like, dude, this could be like coming from a fucking priest right now or a pastor right now, you know? He like tells that there's only, you know, he's all fucked up. There's only one commandment, you know, and he's like, how are you going to steal from somebody you love? You don't kill somebody you love. You know, it's love is the only commandment. Or, you know, you wouldn't cheat on your wife if you loved her, you know, things like that. But
Right.
he's, you know, real wild, and he always speaks like that. You got to move through the next dimension in the universe. And how you went and saw your grandfather in like a place you don't know, he talks about that all the time. And he gets real upset with like God when he speaks too, because in the 5 times dying, he tells you like the light is a trick, but they don't let you remember, right? So you see an attachment, quote unquote, because you're not supposed to have any attachments in this world. And you see like your grandma or your grandpa or whoever, and you go to the light and then you reincarnate again, or you're stuck back here, is what he says. And he's like, you don't remember that, but if you stayed in the dark and your vibration was good enough, you'd go to the next level. And it's like, this guy's on something crazy right now.
He could be
Yeah.
onto something.
I know that. I mean, and part of me is like, you know, that's maybe why they make him look like that, you know, and sound like this and all that stuff. So nobody really wants to listen to him.
Listen to him, yeah.
But I don't know. I think there's a lot of people. Nancy Reagan, Matt, after they tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan, she hired an astrologist to literally plan and take care of everything.
And then
Like-
Plan and take care of everything.
And Ronald Reagan, though, was already like a big practicer of astrology. And what was it, like the Star King? Is that it? Star card? They said he carried that card around because he thought it was in the stars to be president. And then that's kind of like after he was assassinated and didn't die, his wife was like, oh shit, maybe there is something to this tarot, and literally hired a spiritual advisor. They planned when they would travel, what they would eat and when they would eat it, like where they would stay, where they would put their speeches on. I was like, I mean, he never got shot at again, right?
Must have worked.
Yeah. And I already touched on the Nazis, you know, they're the biggest occult people in the world, I feel like, in my opinion.
Oh,
Maybe-
yeah.
You know, they even used, when they created their own deck, it was the Thoth deck from Crowley, or no, that Crowley reinterpreted. So like that was the same thing. If you wonder if Crowley was using anything nice, he wasn't.
No, I wouldn't imagine so.
Is there before we end it here, is there anything you want to say, like pertaining to tarot or like, you know, consciousness or whatever?
I just want to say, before you harshly judge somebody that is spiritual into tarot cards, crystals, whatever it may be, just to remember that judge not lest you be judged.
I agree. I like those words too. And I want to double down on that, right? Just because somebody's practicing tarot doesn't mean they're doing something bad with it.
Exactly.
You know, we're all just out here trying to, in the words of
Be happy.
Pineapple Express, we're all trying to get a motherfucking scholarship, you know?
Yes.
Just trying to get there. That's all. And anyways, thank you, Heather.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Anytime, man.
Hope we might catch some flack because I didn't get a tarot reading, but I don't want to know.
Well, I would love to give you one anytime, man.
Sweet. Maybe Matt. They'll just tell me I'm going nowhere. I always do though, you know. Before we end it here, what do you think of like past life regression? Like quantum healing therapy?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to do some thinking on that.
I feel like past lives, you know.
I think it's definitely a thing.
Okay.
I think it's definitely a thing.
Okay. I think tarot can unlock some of that. Like I think that's part of it, right? Because it's in the psyche.
Yeah.
So
And I think you definitely, until you get it figured out, you're gonna keep coming back.
yes. Okay. I think so too. Well, I think to figure it out, you just gotta love Jesus. You gotta understand that he died for your sins. In my opinion, I'm not forcing that on nobody.
You gotta love Jesus. You gotta love yourself. You gotta love the
Yep.
earth.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Um, is it cool if I share like your social in here so people could get I'll put your,
Yes, please.
they can get a tarot reading?
Yes, please.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thank you so much again, Matt.
You
You got
guys.
anything to say?
No, that was enlightening for sure. I
Yes.
think I
You.
learned a lot.
I know.
Well, I
You're
appreciate you guys having me on. You ever want to invite me back on? I'd be happy to.
absolutely would love to have you whenever we can again. You were like very down home. You're a down home soul. You could
you.
hear that in you, and you're like, you were honest, and you put out a good vibe that like nobody's out here trying to steal some of your hair and create a curse on you with tarot or something.
All right. Well, you guys have a good night.
You too. And with that being said, I'm Michael.
And I'm Matt.
That's Heather. And this
Have a
is We
good night.
Figured It Out podcast.
Bye bye.
Bye.